What's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Forgo. Today we're going to talk about Captain Britain, who is pretty phenomenal, guys. Now, aesthetically, you guys know how I feel about the uniform. I know that some of you really like it. I mean, I definitely like the lower half of the uniform, but I don't know. I'm just not feeling the bun thing, the roses. Just looks weird to me. But if you do love it, that is freaking amazing. However, when you start looking at her kit, you'll find out that she's pretty OP. She's actually a very, very strong character, probably around Moonstone levels, which is, I mean, that's God tier, guys. I mean, you all saw what Moonstone did on my account. Having a brilliant CTB destruction, it was just insane. She could do stage 39 in about 2 minutes, which is nuts. Which tells me that Psylocke here, or Captain Britain, wouldn't be far behind or equally the same with the brilliant CTB obstruction, which is absolutely nuts. And she does play very well with the proc, as I'll show you guys in a little bit. Now, she does have 41,800 energy attack. She doesn't have max attack stats, so keep that in mind when you're watching this run. I don't have her optimally built, and I did that for a reason. I wanted to show you guys just how strong this character is. Her crit rate is at 56%, almost 57. Her critical damage is only at 186%. So we still got room to grow as far as our critical damage. We can make her hit a lot harder. And she also has the artifact, which I don't have, that can actually give you an extra 30% critical damage. So you could end up with 230% critical damage, which is a lot. And then of course her other stats are maxed out. Now she just has no Odin's Blessings, and she's got mythic energy attack Urus, right? I still got some empty slots in here. I could throw some Odin's Blessings in there if I wanted. I could have put some extra critical damage in there I wanted, but the run that you're going to see is with the build that I have currently. Now, as far as her skills, I mean, her tier 3 is pretty nice, and honestly, it's pretty much a must-have whenever you're leveling this character up, and really, I think that goes without saying for most characters. I mean, they need to be awakened or tier 3 to make them really relevant in the game, but her awakened skill gives her an accumulation, and it 0.8%. At first, I was kind of like, well, you know, we'll see, right? I really would have preferred to see a 1.2%, and I'm not going to lie, I still would have preferred to see a 1.2%. However, she is insanely strong. Like I said, pretty much up there with Moonstone, very, very powerful character. She does have all defense down, which goes up to 70%, which is amazing for regular world boss. So those of you that might be trying to level her up for regular world boss, I mean, you're going to have a god tier character with the all defense down. She also has the remove all debuff, which is actually really good against Mephisto. We're not going to be taking on Mephisto today. We're just going to be going against Knull. But her passive, they changed this, gave her a critical damage increase by 30%, making it a little bit easier to level up. And, you know, she's going to play better with the rage. I wouldn't advise putting a rage on this character. I would actually just give her, actually the guaranteed critical rate is actually really nice, because if you do get her artifact and you get that extra critical damage, I mean, having the guaranteed critical rate is going to make her crit even more, and she does an insane amount of hits, so she's going to do a lot of critical hits, and it's actually an insane passive for her to hit a lot harder. They moved the mind damage from the fifth skill to the passive, and as far as the skills, I mean, there's nothing really major with the 1 and the 2. I mean, you do have the mind resistance down the 2, which is good in World Boss Ultimate, but not in World Boss Legend. And then her third skill, they actually made this a movable skill. Now, this is the skill that's actually the caveat to her kit. It's a cool skill, but the problem is you got to let it play out for about a second and a half before you actually get the heal. You get the attack buff immediately, which is awesome. You can immediately cancel the skill and go into your other skills, no problem. However, if you do that, you lose your heal. Now, the run that I'm going to show you guys, I am going to be doing that. I am going to be canceling the 3 into whatever skills afterwards. But I want you to remember that, well, I actually did some tests where I did some runs where I canceled the 3, and then I didn't cancel the 3, and my damage was virtually the same. There really wasn't a whole lot of difference. So I'm going to show you guys a couple different ways that you can actually play her. One way to get optimal damage and get her heal every single time. And then her 4th skill also gives her an attack buff. And this thing can be a little bit misleading. You do have to delay it a little bit, but you don't have to delay it as long as what you might think. It actually is pretty easy to cancel and go into your other skills and get the residual damage from the 4. And then her 5th skill gives her the insane 60% attack buff. This is really, really important in a rotation because you can cancel her awakened skill immediately, and whenever you cancel that thing, you want to go into the 5th skill. You'll get all of the damage, all the residual damage from the awakened skill, but you also get that damage proc on the 5th skill at the same time with all of the damage from the 5th skill. It's pretty freaking nice. Very, very sweet. And then her passive, you know, the mind resist and guard break immunity, which is really, really good. That guard break immunity is sweet, especially for her, because she won't get guard broken during certain attacks. It's actually really nice. The bad thing about not having super armor is that, you know, with guard break immunity, you can still get caught in tornadoes. With super armor, you don't. That's kind of the thing to remember. I mean, the tornadoes will kind of, you know, shake you up a little bit. But if you have super armor, you don't really have to worry about it. And then the leadership. So we'll take a look at our rotations here, guys. It's actually pretty easy to play this character. Now, if you cancel the 3 immediately, you'll get the attack buff. Now, you're not going to get the heal. Now, I'm going to show you 2 different ways you can play the character. You can cancel the 3 into the 4 immediately, and once that 4 goes into an iframe, once you see that little red X, then you can cancel into the 5th skill. So you literally go 3, 4, and then go into the 5th skill. Now, if you guys notice, if you could see it, you can see the residual damage from the 4. You don't have to let the 4 dash forward. So let me show you what the 4 looks like right now, right? And you see the little waves, right, when she's slashing her sword around all over the place, right? And then here's the 2 skill, okay? Right, just a little slash across the screen. If you hit the 4, right, and you go into the iframe, you can see the little slashes, right? So you still get the damage from the 4 if you cancel it whenever she goes into an iframe. So again, it's just 3, 4, go into an iframe, and then 5, right? As soon as she starts that iframe on that 4, you want to cancel into the 5. You don't have to let her dash forward. If you let the 4 dash forward and then go into the 5, once she dashes forward, she could land a hit and actually trigger your proc early. So you do have to watch your timing. Now, you can go 3, 4, 5, or you could just go 4 and then 5, right? And then once the 5 enters, enter the 1 to go in an iframe, and then enter the 3 and get your heal, because it takes about a second and a half to get your heal, which can be pretty annoying, guys. That's really the bad thing about her. I really wish they would have gave her a heal at the very beginning of the 3. It would have made her so much better. She also gets immunity on the 3. So I found in the testing that I've done so far that if you play her doing, you know, 4, 5, and then do 1, go into iframe, and then go into 3 afterwards, I find her survivability actually goes up. Instead of just trying to go 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, right? Because if you just cancel that 3 immediately, you're not going to get your heal. And from the testing that I've done, the damage is virtually the same whether I do it, you know, with 3, 4, 5, or if I do 4, 5, 3. Because the damage here, the attack proc here, or not attack proc, but you get the increased attack by 30%, that actually lasts for 7 seconds, okay? It lasts for 7 seconds. Well, if you time things right, you can actually still have that 30% attack buff up whenever you go into the 4 or 5 in your next rotation around. So if I started off with the 4 and then go into the 5, right? And then I go into the 1, kind of delay the timer a little bit. Then I can hit that 3, and I'll still have about 4 seconds left of this attack proc, or not attack proc, but attack buff on the 3rd skill when I go into the 4 or 5 in the next rotation. You can cancel the awaken skill immediately. Literally, you can go 4, awaken skill, 5. Pretty damn sick, guys. Pretty damn sick. Now, sometimes, and like I've noticed something in the skill previews, sometimes the awaken skill doesn't look like it's landing hits. But whenever I was fighting Knull, I never noticed it. It always was hitting Knull. Every time I canceled it immediately. I didn't have this problem. So it might be just like a bug in the skill preview. I'm not really sure. We'll try it again and see if it does some hits with the awaken skill does some hits here. See, it's not doing hits right there, which is really weird. But against Knull, I didn't notice that. I didn't notice that at all. It seemed like he was, or she was always hitting Knull. She does have a fully awakened power brain rock set. We don't have the artifact. And she just has a double mind damage with a 140% damage proc. So very, very free to play Obelisk. I mean, having the double mind damage is good, but only 140% proc isn't very high. It's a very low proc, and her uniform is actually at legendary. Now, her uniform effect gives her an extra increase in HP, which is awesome. That means the recovery that she gets by 16% is actually more so because she gets the extra 30% increase of HP. And she also has ignore target dodge rate by 40%. And the increased skill damage is really nice. The ignore target dodge rate is really cool because you only need a couple ignore dodge strikers, even though she has ignore dodge in her awakened skill. And as far as the uniform options, you know, Winter Soldier's the first one, then you have Corvus Clave. The first one, not so great. The second one, pretty good, ABX meta. The third one, really good with Luke Cage. The fourth one, Hulk, is going to be really good for a lot of players if they're really concerned about AC and maybe sometimes in timeline. And then the next uniform is actually going to be Professor X, which really isn't that good. So I'll show you guys something here really quick. Really quick against Knull, as far as like just a little damage comparison. There we go. And stage 29, we're going to use this team. And I'm going to show you guys a run with this team and with these strikers. All right, so we had some technical difficulties, so I got to do that again. So I'm going to show you guys just canceling the 3 into the 4 every single time. And then I'm going to show you the other way where you can delay the 3 and do it every other rotation. Or not every other rotation, but you'll get the drift. Here we go. So we're just going to go 3, 4. Awaken scale 5, right? Now the problem with doing it this way is that you're never going to get the heal, right? If you don't use that third skill, like in between your rotations, you'll never get the heal. And sometimes that third skill can actually trigger your proc. And you have to play way more careful with her whenever you do it like that, right? Whenever you're doing it like this. Now, you're going to get the full 7 seconds of the attack buff from the third skill if you do it that way. But your survivability is actually going to go down, right? Now, this is obviously the way that you're going to probably get more damage. Okay, careful, careful, go. There we go, hit that 5. Now, I can keep her alive, right? But whenever you start going in higher stages, you're going to find that it's going to be harder to keep her alive if you're not using that heal. And, you know, I'm not using the heal, but I have to play extremely careful to use it. Now there, my third skill actually triggered the proc. And you guys see the time, right? 3 minutes and 41 seconds, right? And we used the third skill. We just went 3, 4, 5, right? We did the 3 at the very beginning of the rotation every single time. So now let me show you what happens if you just delay the 3 and get your heal every single time. Because I think it's good to show you guys this, so you know that there really isn't a massive difference between doing it this way. Now, I used to go 3, 4, and then Awaken Scale 5 for the first rotation, right? This is how I'm trying to play her. And then I'm going to hit that 3, right? Get that heal. Okay, so now we're just going to go into the 4, 5. We're going to hit the 1, and then we're going to hit our heal. We're going to kind of move away to make sure the 3 doesn't trigger the proc. Okay, 4, 5. All right. Okay. There we go. Get our heal. Try to move away. We got caught in cage. No big deal. No big deal. We're going to get hit by the tornadoes, which is always really fun and annoying. Okay, kind of get over here. One thing that's really nice about Psylocke is that she goes into an iframe whenever she does her 5th skill, and has that little bit of an iframe at the very beginning when she does her 4th skill, and that's really nice. And as you guys can see, look at the damage difference here, okay? Okay, get over here, get over here, get over here. So, I mean, 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So, you know, we lost about 10 seconds doing it this way, right? 10 seconds. Now, over a 5-minute run, you're going to lose probably 20, 25 seconds doing it this way. So, you know, what you might want to try to do is maybe go 3, 4, Awaken Skill 5 whenever the Awaken Skill is ready, but in between there, whenever your Awaken Skill is on its cooldown, maybe it'd be better just to try to get your heal. So if you are trying to get your heal, it will slow down your damage if you're playing with a proc, and that's really kind of the point that I want to make in this video, is that it will slow down your damage, right? Now, the run that I'm going to show you guys, I actually tried to use the 3, 4, 5 or 3, 4 Awaken Skill 5 because I knew I'd get a little bit more damage doing that. So I'll go ahead and pull up the actual run that I did against Knull for you guys so you can see the full entirety. And like I said, you know, in this run, I'm going to be trying to use the 3. Now, I need to play with Psylocke a little bit more, Captain Britain. But as you guys can see, you know, I'm using the 3 first, right? And, you know, we're going to hammer out, I mean, yeah, I mean, you do get more damage, obviously, if you do the 3 first, because you're going to get that extra 30% attack buff. However, you know, like I said, guys, I mean, it's really, if you want her survivability to go up against Knull or even Mephisto, Mephisto's going to be really hard sometimes for her because she's a very fragile character, and honestly, not getting that heal is pretty detrimental to the character. She can die very easy. But I mean, if you play her properly, like if you play her carefully and you're moving her around and you're watching for all the obstacles that are going to be going against you, you can keep her alive if you're just canceling the 3, right? But it's not the easiest thing. Remember, if Knull hits you, especially in the next phase where he actually has penetration, he's going to do damage to you. You know, if there's toxic meteorites on the ground, you know, if you don't have an immunity or invincibility up and you get hit by the tornadoes, you're going to take damage. So, you know, I think you're really better off, in my personal opinion, is to try to get the heal. Try to use, you know, delay the 3, you know, try to use your 4, 5, and then go into your 3 afterwards, because you're still going to get that attack, that buff from the 3rd skill on your next rotation when you go into the 4, 5. You're still going to get it, right? I mean, obviously the damage is going to be a little bit better if you use the 3 first every single rotation, but you're going to lose survivability because of that. You see, we've already took some damage right now. We would have a full amount of life if I would have been delaying the 3, and yeah, it would have took me about 10 seconds longer to move into the 2nd phase. But she really is pretty damn strong, guys. I mean, she's very, very powerful. I mean, honestly, to be on par with Moonstone is that's a feat in itself, and I'm really happy to see that. But something to keep in mind about her, and I need to be real with you guys, is that, you know, one, you got to pay 6,600 crystals for this character. Now, for those of us that already have her, that's not a big deal because we already have her. But if you're new to this game and you're trying to figure out, you know, awakened characters to level up and all this, and you're thinking about deluxe pack characters, I mean, Moonstone is pretty much as strong as Psylocke, and the thing is, she doesn't have a uniform. Psylocke does. You're going to have to get a uniform for that character. You're going to have to pay the 6,600 crystals. You're going to have to pay another 1,000 crystals to get her uniform. You're going to have to level up her uniform. But I mean, she does use X-Men materials, which, you know, we don't really use a lot of, so there's also that. That's a big reason also why I awakened her. I mean, one, she's waifu for me, but also because I have a lot of feathers and Macron crystals, so it's just really, I mean, I might as well, right? Now there I got my heal, and that's the thing, guys. You know, sometimes you might have to use your heal. You know, you're going to take damage throughout the fight because Knull does have penetration. He will do damage to you eventually, or you might get caught in time freeze. I mean, God knows what's going to happen to you. So you might have to throw that heal around. I didn't switch fast enough right there, unfortunately. We lost a wave. And if I attack right now, because Psylocke or Captain Britain is so fragile, I mean, she can die pretty easy, guys. I mean, you need to be really, really careful. And using the 3 first a lot of times does trigger the proc. If you're not fast enough between going from that 3 into that 4th skill, that 3rd skill will dash forward, do a hit, and sometimes it can trigger the proc. So you have to be very, very careful of that. And as you just saw, my 4th skill got interrupted. It does happen, man. It's pretty damn annoying when it does, because your 4th skill, you get a lot of residual damage from it. You get the attack buff fairly quick, right? Just a slight delay, but you want all that residual damage from that thing. It makes a big difference in the amount of power that she has when you're combining that 4 into the 5, or the 4 into the Awakened Skill 5, whatever it may be. So we're going to go ahead and use our Awakened Skill right here and try to murder this guy. All right, try to take him down. Ooh, and guys, I mean, this is stage 29 with 140% damage prop. No Oda's Blessings, you know. She does have a legendary uniform, but honestly, this is a hell of a feat. This is a hell of a feat for a character to do. I mean, Captain Britain's strong. She's got a lot of damn power. There's no denying it. She can get it done. You know, I mean, my biggest complaint is that sometimes her 4, right before she goes into her iframe, she can get, I mean, she won't get guard broken, but if she gets hit by anything, like the tornadoes, it can interrupt her, because she doesn't have super armor. That's kind of a thing. You got to be really careful about the tornadoes with her when you're using her 4th skill. I mean, when you go into the 5, you don't have to worry about it because then she's in a solid iframe. Or whenever you use your Awakened skill, you get your invincibility, and you'll get your native super armor from that. But I mean, we are coming down to the wire. I believe we missed. I believe one proc didn't even show up. It didn't even proc earlier, so that kind of hurt our damage a little bit. We would have done this a little bit faster if that wouldn't have happened. But she does seem to struggle a little bit when we get toward the very last phase. I believe Knull has some higher defenses at the very end. But I mean, 5 seconds to spare. But I did this with 140% damage proc, right? 140% damage proc. We have low critical rate, or critical damage, right? Her critical damage is only at, you know, 186%. I mean, there's a long ways to go. We could get more damage out of her uniform. If this thing was fully leveled up, we could get this last uniform option, giving her extra attack or critical damage, whatever it may be, and make her even stronger. If she had her artifact, she would be even stronger. Honestly, man, she's pretty damn powerful. But, I mean, if you're a player that's trying to decide, you know, like, between a deluxe pack character, should I go for Moonstone? Should I go for Psylocke? I would tell you to go for Moonstone because she doesn't need a uniform. You don't have to level it up. That would be my personal opinion about it. And Moonstone is easier to play, in all honesty, and she procs a lot easier. But you can play with Captain Britain with a proc. However, I feel like she is going to be more optimal with a CTP of Judgment. But it's something I want you to keep in mind for you guys is if you have a mighty CTP of Judgment on, right, you're going to have a 10-second proc that you're going to have to build up. You're going to have to build up that bar every single time to engage the proc on the CTP of Judgment or the CTP of Destruction or the mighty CTP. And the thing is, if you're playing with the CTP of Judgment, specifically a CTP of Judgment, because the third skill takes a little bit for the heal, it takes about a second and a half to get that heal. Once you hit your skill, you got your bars built up. Once you hit your skill, that proc's going to start going down, guys. You're going to lose it. You're only going to have it for 5 seconds in total, right? So that's something to keep in mind. If you're trying to get the heal and you're trying to use the third skill, right? There's the heal. You've already lost a second and a half. And if you combine that with the 4 and then go into the 4, I mean, you've already lost, you know, 2.5 seconds of that 5-second proc. So it really makes me wonder if it would be better. I think you'd almost be better just canceling the 3 into the 4 into the Awaken Scale 5, you know, in your first rotation while you got that, you know, the proc built up maybe for a CTP of Energy or a Mighty CTP of Destruction or a Brilliant CTP of Destruction or even a CTP of Judgment, because you're going to lose a lot of the actual Mighty proc that's on that Judgment if you're doing it that way. If you're, you know, delaying the 3, trying to get the heal every single time before you go into the 4-5. So that is something to keep in mind, you know, as far as playing with a Mighty. But she is a quality character, and I am considering slapping on her this Mighty CTP of Energy with the beatdown proc. It's got 200% damage proc on it. I might go ahead and slap this on her. This isn't the best rolled Mighty CTP of Energy. It's increased additional pierce damage by 4% instead of 6%, but it would make a difference. Let me know in the comments if you guys would like to see that. Unfortunately, I don't have a CTP of Judgment. I also have a regular CTP of Energy that I could put on her, but I want to push the character, maybe take her up to stage, you know, 40, because you need agility at stage 40 against Knull, and she does have the agility tag. So, I mean, she's a pretty awesome character, guys. She is very, very strong, but again, if you're deciding between, you know, a deluxe pack character, Moonstone, or Captain Britain, I would go for Moonstone because it's just going to be cheaper to level up. But if you already have Psylocke and you want to make her pretty godly, then this is going to be a good uniform to buy. So let me know how y'all feeling about Captain Britain. I do stream on Twitch at 9 p.m. GMT+7 time. The link in the description below. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one. See ya.